on tight, spider monkey.
As if you could outrun me!
It's more than some crush, Bella.
How? I don't even know what you're saying. How?
I agree. All right. Well, we're back on our second attempt on this.
Another one.
We hope the sound is a little better this episode, but if it's not,
dang, that's crazy.
Listen to us anyway. But welcome back to my Twilight Fantasy. This is Anna.
This is Tidrisi in the Cut, also known as Tyree.
And Maya.
So, we are back again for our 15th week, our 15th episode. And we are not recording in our usual location. We are not in Columbus. Ow!
That's why Cash, you get her.
Yeah, so before I get into that, I guess, instead of hearing my dog cry throughout the entire episode, the reason I just said ow is because Maya's cat, Cashew, just attacked me from under the little table. But it's okay, because he's super cute. And I'm okay with that. But, yeah, we're not in our normal location, not in my apartment. We are in Athens at Ohio University visiting Maya. I'm sorry, did I just, dox you? Do you care if people know where you go to school?
No, I don't care.
Great. Yeah, so we decided to come down here to record the episode, to hang out, and to celebrate her 21st birthday early.
Yeah.
So, this is kind of a celebratory episode. And we're just gonna have fun with it.
Oh.
We're just gonna I'm sorry.
He loves to bite people's toes.
Yeah, he's
I'm
biting
sorry.
my fingers. It's okay, he's cute. So yeah, that's what we're doing here. We're gonna have fun. And
Next time he does it, just go like, Jacob!
but alright, should we just go ahead and go into it?
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh gosh. Also, I'm allergic to cats, so I'm sorry if I sniff. I'm really trying not to. Really, really trying.
Yeah, we mind.
I know, I mind.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're on chapter 15, which is called The Cullens. I'll give a brief overview, but Maya, I think, will have a few things to add to that overview, and then we'll kind of really go into it all. So, this chapter, we kind of start the morning after Edward first spends the night with Bella knowing, and they start the day off together addressing Bella's human needs and being all weird and lovey and whatever. And it's at breakfast that Edward tells Bella he would like for her to meet his family and that they should go visit the Cullens later that day. So Bella gets ready and they head to Edward's, which is kind of a big and surprising house to Bella. But once inside, she sees Carlisle, Asper. Great.
That's their couple name.
Alice and Jasper, and then she's introduced to Esme, Carlisle's mate. So they all exchange their pleasantries, and it's in these exchanges that Bella learns of Edward's musical talents. He takes her to the piano and plays the lullaby that he wrote that was inspired by her.
And it makes her cry.
I can't.
Can't get into that part.
Ugh. And, so then after that, Edward starts the tour of the house with Bella, and they're stopped upstairs at a large wooden cross, and that's where we start to learn more of, Carlisle's backstory, and, we'll get more into that next chapter. So, that's just kind of my brief overview, but Maya, what do you have to add to that?
Minor stuff here. In the very beginning of the chapter, Bella's waking up the morning after their date from the last chapter, or maybe 2 chapters ago, but whatever. Anyway, it's Sunday now, and they pretty much immediately after waking up jump into discussing I love yous, because Edward apparently was overhearing, Bella was talking in her sleep a lot, and he was hearing her, and she was like, oh, what did you say? What did you hear? What did I say? And he was like, oh, well, haha, you said that you loved me. And she was like, well, you already knew that. And then she says it again. And he says, you are my life now. Instead of saying, I love you too, which both of those things are
It's a little intense.
Out of
It's a
pocket
little
after the
intense.
first date.
Yeah, I mean, they've been on one day. I know they've known each other for quite a while now, and in the beginning, my complaint was that things weren't moving quickly enough. I feel like this could have been maybe paced better.
It's 0 to 100 real quick.
Okay, but think about it. She transferred to Forks in March.
Mm-hmm.
The school year isn't that long. It hasn't been, like, super long since they've known each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're on You're My Life Now.
Right. And I get that it's a different commitment when it's a human committing to a human versus a vampire committing to a human. Because they have to, like, get through all this vampire stuff to actually get to know each other, but I feel like they're not even through that yet.
Yeah. They still don't know each other on that level.
Yeah, but they're starting to, like, during the family visit, I feel like that's starting to happen, but it's just like, how did you not know that he played piano, dude?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and then the other thing, right after that, Edward's like, Bella freaks out for a second, because she's like, where's my dad? And Edward says, oh, he's already at work, don't worry about it, but, like, eventually you're gonna have to tell him that I'm your boyfriend. And they're talking about this, never having asked each other if they wanted to date. You know? That just feels a little weird to me.
Yeah. Because usually, I don't know, in the beginning of a relationship or when you just decide to start dating somebody, there is a significance to the moment where you decide
Yes.
that this is exclusive. But I don't know, it feels as though it was just assumed this whole time that was the case.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the way they talk about being boyfriend and girlfriend is weird.
Mm-hmm. Because at
Not
first,
normal.
many chapters ago, it was introduced as, like, Bella, or Edward told Bella, can you please pretend, just tell people that we're dating secretly to, like, explain this weirdness. And she probably has, like, butterflies for a second and, like, almost passes out, and then
Oh my god.
kind of agrees. But that's not ever, they never say, like, I mean, they talk about their feelings, but they don't say, will you be my girlfriend, will you be my boyfriend, whatever. Which I feel like is kind of important, because it gets back to this whole, like, Edward's pushiness and, like, not asking for consent in certain situations.
Mm-hmm. And just like that, like, they're, like, they tiptoe around, like, whether or not they're going to, like, they're actually dating or if they're not. And they also tiptoe around the I love yous, like, how is this, like, it's like, how, like, this is how the lion fell in love with the lamb, and, like, how they, like, mention it, but it's never, like, actually said until Bella's like, I love you, and then he was like, yeah, you're my life.
But he also doesn't say I love you too,
Yeah.
which I would be hurt by.
You're like, oh, word?
I mean, you are my life now is a pretty bold statement, but it's also not exactly what we were looking for, you know?
I think that was a nice way to get out of that one.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's, like, super deep, but it's just like, I prefer you say it back to me, and then you could, like add on to that with you're my life now.
Yeah. Another thing I felt like I could write a whole paper about in these two chapters, 15 and 16, is Alice's, like, visions about Bella and, like, things related to Bella. Because around here, around this part, Bella asks if Alice saw Bella coming, and Edward doesn't really say yes or no, and I'm curious what that is about. Is that explained later?
I feel like, I don't know if it's explained later, but I was thinking about that also, and I think that maybe he, like, doesn't want to share with Bella what Alice has seen about Bella because it involves her actually being one of them.
Mm.
And that goes against what Edward wants for Bella.
Gotcha.
And he doesn't want to give that to her, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he still wants it to be a choice for her, that this isn't just the life she's going to have just
Yeah.
because Alice sees it, you know?
That makes sense. I feel like Alice is kind of under an obligation to not share
Yeah.
that kind of stuff too, and I think that this might be a much more interesting story from the perspective of Edward or from Alice because
Yeah.
of their powers.
Definitely.
Just a thought.
Well, on the very first, you know me and my little nitpicky notes, but on the first page of the chapter, I read another Edward compliment in your voice, mine.
Really?
Because
Because she wakes up and she, like, realizes right away, like, oh shit, Edward's here. And he just goes, your hair looks like a haystack, but I like it.
Yikes. I can relate to Bella in this circumstance because my hair often looks like a haystack. But
Does Garrett like it?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't think so.
He's like, hey babe, you look a mess. Go fix that.
He would never say anything like that to me, but we know he's thinking it.
But,
Ow.
also at the beginning of this chapter, I'm so Team Edward, and you guys know that, but
Yeah.
I really hated the start of this chapter because the way that Stephanie Meyer wrote it, the actions that were happening just felt so much more like father-daughter
Yes.
rather than boyfriend-girlfriend. Like how he's rocking her in the chair and rubbing her back, and how she gets almost like desperate and panic when she finds out he left while she was asleep, and he carries her down the stairs. And
Why does
this
she
is
have
all like what a dad does with his toddler.
But why does she have a rocking chair in her room?
Because the last time she slept in it, she was a baby.
I understand that, but like, the only person I know with a rocking chair is my Nana.
Yeah.
And she's like 92. And
I don't know. People have them.
Yeah, I thought that was a little weird too.
Do you get that feeling at all? Like, I just thought it was weird.
It definitely did cross my mind that it was very father-daughter, and also, like, just this thing where Edward's pushiness is just, like, keeps bubbling to the surface for me.
Yeah, he like manhandles her a lot. It's like he sat me in the chair, he moved me here, he moved me there, or he placed me in front of, and I'm just like, can you like maybe if Stephanie would have been like, he guided me over here, like I would be like, okay, that's better. But she's like, yeah, he grabbed me and pulled me over here, and I'm just like, I don't know. That's just really not okay with me.
Yeah. I hear that. I have another random kind of, like, small thing from the second page of the chapter. Edward says, Bella's, like, wondering where her dad is, and Edward says, he left an hour ago after reattaching your battery cables, like my dad. I have to admit, I was disappointed. Is that really all it would take to stop you if you were determined to go? What does that mean?
I didn't understand what he was saying.
Yeah.
I kept rereading it, and I was just like, what does this
I didn't know
mean?
what that was referencing.
Reattach your battery cables. First of all, what? When were they detached? Battery cables in her car, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
I guess. Well, because the thing that made me think of is in, was it Eclipse?
Yeah. Edward
Where Edward, like, fucks with her truck so it doesn't work, so that she can't go down to the reservation because she wants to talk to Jacob, but he's really mad at her, and it's when the, like, tensions are really high between the tribe and the coven or whatever. And so yeah, Edward makes her truck not work, and
Yeah, this
she
just
says,
seems
like because that doesn't work, she just can't go now, so that's all that's stopping her truly. So that's what that made me think of, but like I don't know what its place was in this chapter.
Me either. If you guys know, if you guys who are listening have any insight into that, please email us at mytwilightfantasypodcast@gmail.com, or like send us a DM on Instagram, because I'm very curious what that was in reference to. It just felt like copied and pasted out of a different section, like by accident.
The editor didn't catch it.
Yeah.
Well, would you like to hear one of my biggest notes of this?
Please.
Yes.
And I think you guys already know where I'm going to be going with this, because I actually called both of you. So
I remember this, yeah.
I kind of read ahead a couple weeks ago. I was just sitting by the pool one day, so I decided to read Twilight. And I read this chapter, and I had to stop on page 318 and call both Tyree and Maya and just go off. Because I've put up with a lot of Bella's outfits this whole book. A lot of them. And a lot of them in the movie, too. But I couldn't fucking handle what she decided to wear to meet Edward's family. On page 318, she literally says, "It was hard to decide what to wear, and I doubted there were any etiquette books detailing how to dress when you meet your vampire sweetheart. Or when your vampire sweetheart takes you home to meet the vampire family."
Vomit.
You're so clever. Whatever. But what she ended up wearing was a long khaki-colored skirt, a dark blue blouse, and just a ponytail that she threw up on her way out.
And then literally Edward's just like, you
What?
don't know how irresistible you are. Oh.
Yeah, and he just like, you're indecent because of how hot you are. Ugh. Like,
Okay.
so...
Don't gas her. Don't lie to her.
It's a khaki skirt.
Which has never been cute.
No. A dark blue blouse. Like, the way
What
I
does that
picture it in
mean?
my mind, when you say blouse, that, to me, that sounds like something you'd wear to work.
That's
Like an office
teacher.
job. So just like some
Like a
fucking
button-up.
ugly, yeah, blue button-up, dark blue shirt with a long khaki skirt like she's going to church camp.
I wish.
And then just throws her hair
Why?
up.
The word long is the word that's throwing me off the most about this skirt. Because it's like,
Why?
what does that mean? That can mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, like, not a mini skirt could be considered long. So, like, mid-thigh, like, knee length, like, floor length? What are we talking
I
here?
think it's floor length.
But I
Really?
wish you would have said what shoes she was wearing. I feel like that would have tied it all together. Then we really would have knew.
Well, if it's floor length, her shoes would be obscured and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
No, she has
Maybe
like
that's
those.
why she didn't say what shoes she's wearing.
Yeah, she had like those closed off sandals. Those brown closed off sandals. You know what I'm talking
She
about?
might as well just fucking wear Crocs and just tie a bow on it and call this the worst outfit ever.
Yeah, my note that I wrote next to this was Halloween outfit, question mark.
Absolutely. This is going to be your Bella.
Okay.
This
Send me
is-
fan art.
Yeah, so decided Maya's going to be Bella for Halloween.
I'm not doing it unless we all do it.
Well, who am I gonna be?
You can be Rosalie. Your hair
Yeah.
is blonde. Your hair is like Loki blonde now. Go to Rosalie.
You just get a shitty half-assed wig.
Or just come as
obviously.
Emmett.
Be your favorite character. Who's that?
Hello.
I don't know.
Well, think about that, and I think Paul really has to be Edward.
I'm
Jacob.
sorry. I'd have to say my favorite character is probably a male. I'm not very partial to female characters usually.
Especially not in this series.
No.
I mean, you could be Victoria because she's trying to eat Bella. Victoria.
Mabes. And I even told you the
Mabes.
other day I want that color hair. Remember that?
Yeah.
Well,
Alright, gotta find me a James.
The guy from the supermarket. We
No.
met at Whole Foods.
yikes.
We
Don't
met at
even-
Whole Foods. You're buying rosé.
Yikes.
No, as soon as you send unsolicited nudes to me, you're blocked.
Okay, so not that guy, but
That's who she's
I know.
suggesting.
But you've had there are other people.
I'm good.
We can
Maybe
talk
I'll just
about
get a
that later.
cardboard cutout of a James.
Or just put Bodhi in a blonde wig.
Cute.
Yeah, we
I'll
have
do
to take photos together though as a group.
that. Yeah. Wait, who are you going to be, Tyree?
Is that even a question?
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna bring my bonnet and everything. I got it.
We've been
All
joking
right.
about this for so long, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, if we actually do it, I'll be impressed.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, we'll have to end up posting it somewhere on the Instagram. I always made a joke that I was going to be Jacob, but then when I was in wolf form, I would just throw on one of my bonnets. I'll have to show you the picture that I made so you can see it.
Yeah, we can post that too.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, either way, you're going to dress up as Bella at
Yeah.
some point. It's going to happen.
and I don't know if I've said this before on the podcast, but I think it would be really fun if we go through and make a note of every outfit that Bella's wearing, maybe
Yeah.
even from the movies too. And I'll take the outfits and we can have like a lookbook of Bella outfits.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I think it'd be funny to do like a fashion show. All of us come out.
If you have a least favorite outfit of Bella's, send us an email at mytwilightfantasypodcast@gmail.com,
Yeah.
Mine is still the bowling shirt.
and we
That's
will
out pocket.
recreate the look.
Yep. I will do
One
it
hundo.
just for you guys.
So,
No, you might not. We might have some creeps on here. They might be like, "Oh, Breaking Dawn, Part 1, honeymoon scene when they're jumping in the waterfall."
what was she wearing?
a bikini.
Yeah.
Well, I don't look good in those.
Next.
Well, so anyway, I just had to go on that small rant because that outfit is unacceptable.
Yeah, definitely.
I couldn't.
Also, on 319, just the next page, that is where
Yes.
I think Edward kisses her forehead
Mm-hmm.
and like caresses her face.
Yep.
Two things. Bella says the smell of his breath made it impossible to think, which is probably the single funniest thing in this book. Imagine if she was saying that his breath was that bad.
Yeah.
His breaths for like 10 counts. A bounce that A.
Yeah.
Bounce that, eh?
And then later on the page, I kind of think that a dramatic reading of this would be really funny.
You two do it.
Okay.
All right.
I need a book.
We're at the bottom of page 319.
Wait, are you Bella and I'm Edward?
Yeah.
Obviously.
My bad.
Maya's playing the part of Bella Swan, and Tyree is Edward Cullen.
And scene.
Scene.
Where am I starting from?
Our,
Start with shall I
So-
explain?
Okay. I'm sorry. Shall I explain how you're tempting me?
It was clearly a rhetorical question. His fingers traced slowly down my spine, his breath coming more quickly against my skin. My hands were limp on his chest, and I felt lightheaded again. He tilted his head slowly and touched his cool lips to mine for the second time, very carefully, parting them slightly. Oh! And then I collapsed.
Bella?
His voice was alarmed as he caught me and held me up. You made me faint.
I'm sorry.
She fucking collapsed when he kissed her. Who does that?
They sort of had me at limp. My hands were limp on his chest.
Bella with an accent is way
Yeah,
funnier.
Southern Baptist Bella. Yikes.
Big
I would
yikes.
explain the khaki skirt.
Yeah.
But also on that same page, I thought this is what you're going to bring up. The smell. She brings up again the smell of his breath.
2 times.
She mentioned it 2 times before in another chapter, and now she's talking about it again.
Damn.
That's fucking gross.
Yeah, I cannot possibly imagine that his breath is so nice. You have to mention it 3 times.
How does it not smell like anything but like either metallic or like? Well, I can understand if it like smells like mint or something because he doesn't eat, but like either smells like blood or like air.
I think they're, like, unaffected by... So, like, do they have to shower?
I feel like that's yes. He
They
has
don't
to
have
wash his
to-
butt.
But do they go to the bathroom? Because he doesn't need to eat.
I mean, what happens to the blood? Like, does it directly nourish them, or like?
I don't know.
And they like yeet out the waste.
Yo, if
So maybe,
vampire
like,
shit, email us at myfantasypodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. These are the types of vampire lore questions we really need the answers to.
Yeah, I think we say this like at least once an episode. I don't get their biology,
You can have your book
according to Stephanie Meyer. I would really like some insight on whether they go to the bathroom.
And why his breath smells so damn good.
Yeah. We need the important things.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you for reenacting that because I was livid when I read that. She collapsed after he kissed her.
Yeah, that's just obscene.
It's-
Obscene.
Like,
Like, girl, homeboy is not that good. He is out of practice. 117 years
your
out of practice.
Dude,
Like,
you
self
think
together.
okay, if he's never had sex with anyone, you really think he's kissed other people?
that's what I'm saying. He is not. He's
He's
not
never done it
rehearsed.
before.
Right.
Not rehearsed. Yeah. But,
hate it.
one kind of good thing that I felt about this chapter comes on page 320. They're kind of like, what are they talking about? Oh yeah, okay, so they're talking about like Bella's anxiety to meet his family, and she, instead of being nervous about like, oh, are they going to eat me? She's worried like, are they going to like me? And he kind of makes fun of her for that and says, you're incredible. But I liked this moment of like suspending the vampire stuff for a second and like just fully indulging in the like teen romance cliche of it all.
Yeah, yeah.
I liked that, actually.
I did too.
Ow.
Okay.
Yeah, gosh, he's just biting me. He wants to play. Oh, God.
So, on the next page, 321, is when she first gets a look at the Cullen house. And I have another description of, like, part of the Cullen house later in the book, I think. Or it's in the next chapter. I don't know. But I don't know if Stephanie Meyer, like, has any sense of design.
Definitely not.
Because she describes the house as being probably 100 years old, faded white, 3 stories, rectangular and well proportioned. But inside it's large open space, curving staircase, a big yard and leading up to a river, and the whole back of the house is just glass. Which, first of all, that's not at all how it is in the book. Mm-hmm. They're straight dead in the woods. Mm-hmm. It's a very, like, modern kind of all wood house. It's all windows and all looks like natural wood, and it seems kind of closed off. There's a bunch of separate rooms. Like, it's just completely opposite from what she describes, and I'm glad, because an 100-year-old house that's faded white and it's just completely different on the inside seems really strange. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I guess that could be read into some, like, it's just this ordinary house, and on the inside it's kind of extraordinary, but so are they. Or,
yeah, that's what I said.
You know what I mean?
The house description mirrors the vampire description.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Tyree?
Oh, I was going to say, like, them being vampires and stuff like that, would that give them away more in Forks, or was everyone, like, every house there sort of, like, crap old? Because Forks is Forks. But, I don't know, I feel like a modern house would stick out more than, like, a ancient house. I'm just trying to rationalize it.
I liked in the movies how it's kind of in the middle of the woods, and it sort of is here, too. Like, it's kind of obscured by all these trees, and they do feel like they're far away from the town, like where Bella lives. I'm not sure about that, though. You get that vibe from the movie more so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it kind of... I like to think that it's totally different from anything else in Forks. And you kind of get the vibe that they have a ton of money.
Yeah. Yeah,
which is interesting. And maybe since, maybe vampires don't shit and maybe vampires don't shower, and that's why they have so much money, because they never have to pay a water bill.
Well, also...
no gas bill?
No food.
Carlisle's been accumulating money for centuries.
Yeah.
So that alone could probably provide for them.
It's actually pretty lit.
Yeah, and they probably... I mean, they don't grow out of clothes or, like...
Yeah, they don't need a bunch of the necessities that we do.
Right.
Also, in my notes, I have for 321, all I put in my notes is Yaga.
321. Oh, I know why. Bella says, wow, and he says, you like it? And she says, it has a certain charm, and then it says, he pulled the end of my ponytail and chuckled. And I made a note of that, too, because if someone did that to me, I would be pissed. Do not touch my hair like that.
I think it was supposed to be like a little tug, like cute little...
It's not cute if you're touching my hair.
I don't know. I used to have a guy friend who would do something like that, but it's not like a true Yaga. But thank you. I was wondering why I wrote that down.
Oh my god, you guys are on the same wavelength.
This is what happens when you live here and we're forced to spend more time with each other.
It was like, on Mondays, it's literally all we do.
Yeah. Alright. What else you guys got?
Oh, I talked about when Bella, like, finally walks into the house and she meets Alice, and then she, like, comes up to her and kisses her on the cheek. I was sort of confused, because when they had, like, met at school, she, like, barely even talked to her. Like, I don't think Alice addressed her at all when she walked to the table and Edward was leaving early that day. And then she, like, does sort of, like, a whole 180. I don't know if it's because she's seen more videos of her and, like, she's getting to know Bella better without, like, knowing her. But I just thought it was sort of weird how it just, like, completely, like, she, like, switched characters. Like, before she was, like, steely, like, didn't really say anything, and now she's just, like, bubbly, yay, and I don't know.
I think that's from... I think Edward's really closed Bella in that part of his life off from his family up until this point. Mm-hmm. Because, like, Rosalie's so not into it. Emmett obviously supports Rosalie, and everyone was just a little unsure of the whole situation. So, because didn't she say, like, hi to Bella and Edward kind of cut her off?
I think that did happen, but I do wish that it hadn't, because the note that I made on this page was, I wish there was more friendship to this. Alice and Bella... Alice could be Bella's friend at school.
Yeah.
Like, she could be that person that Bella has been, like, looking for and needing.
Right. Bella doesn't open herself up to that.
You're right. She doesn't. And I think... And later... It might actually be in the next chapter, but Alice is just, like, much more friendly and open with Bella than ever before, and I feel like that's truly who she is. Mm-hmm. Bella just hasn't had a chance to see that yet.
Yeah.
And also, I was really surprised to find out that Esme is super supportive of this relationship, too. Edward says, oh, that's weird. Maybe I'm... Oh, I see. Okay, so Bella says, Esme and Carlisle, I continued quickly to keep him from noticing, continue the conversation, and he finishes her sentence, are happy to see me happy. Actually, Esme wouldn't care if you had a third eye and webbed feet. All this time she's been worried about me, afraid that there was something missing from my essential makeup, and I was too young when Carlisle changed me. She's ecstatic. Every time I touch you, she just about chokes with satisfaction.
That's a little weird.
That is a little weird. Like, because... It seemed like the only other time he's really talked about Esme was when he was telling Bella in the meadow scene that when he left for Alaska for a few days, like directly after meeting Bella, that he couldn't go home and face Esme because some reason. And so I figured it would be disapproval.
So heartbroken.
Okay.
I think that's what he was alluding to.
Gotcha.
Because I really think she truly took on, like, the role as the mother of this family.
Yeah, she does seem very motherly.
Extremely, and I think that's why she's so excited for this for him, because, like, she found her mate, and all the other Cullens did too, so, I don't know, maybe she just felt he wasn't living up to his true, or, I don't know, just lonely.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Maybe they probably do discuss it later in the book, and I know we'll get into it in New Moon as well. Are they, in every other circumstance, it just worked out that, like, someone was right about to die and they just happened to be the right age, or passably, the right age for this family. And Bella is a very accident-prone person.
Yeah.
But it's not an accident that ever leads her to becoming a vampire. It's not because she was on the... I mean, it kind of was that she was on the brink of death, but it was because she did that to herself.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting that, like, that they make such a point, Stephenie Meyer makes such a point of making Bella so clumsy and careless and, like, putting herself in all these risky situations, but it's never that.
Yeah.
Bella never forces their hand to, like, be like, you have to make me a vampire.
Yeah,
now.
that's a good point.
Doesn't the Volturi Loki do it, though?
Mm-hmm. But it's not really out of... Like, she's gonna die if we don't,
Yeah. Even though, ultimately, in the end, that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, but it's for, like, a reason that Bella kind of chose for herself.
Yeah.
I guess it... I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
It's actually Edward's fault for not pulling out. But.
Right. Crusty egg.
Yikes. Dusty semen egg. Go ahead.
On 323, this is just a little bit before where you guys are talking about, but where she's, like, where Bella's being introduced to Carlisle and Esme, this is just such, like, another example of how I think Stephenie Meyer's trying to convey, like, they're from a different time, and it's like, yes, we already understand that, but she makes them talk so differently and so weird that I don't get it. So, like, so at the bottom of 322, Edward says, Carl, Esme, this is Bella. And then the first thing Carlisle says is, you're very welcome, Bella. That's what he says to her.
Yeah, that is really weird.
And so she says, it's nice to see you again. He says, please call me Carlisle. She says, Carlisle. And then Esme pops up and she says, it's very nice to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What?
And then Belle's like, it's really nice to meet you too. Like,
I've-
correcting them each time.
I've read lots of books from lots of different times. I've never heard a greeting like this. Like,
No.
I don't know where this is from, if this is common somewhere, but the only thing I can think of is Stephanie Meyer was trying to, like, convey that message, but you would think that after so much time they would have, like, become accustomed to normal greetings.
Especially Carlisle.
Yeah.
It's like, then she also notes it again, but like she talks about how like stunning Carlisle is or whatever, but then she says that Esme looks like she's out of like a silent movie.
Yeah.
Like, and then she also said that she looked like Snow White, which are like both like old films.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like there was like they were also trying to hint at they were like from a different time, and
That language just really threw me. I
Yeah.
feel like it's unnecessary to go that far. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I feel that. I think it's really emphasizing that they're just like a little bit off because they're so out of practice with interacting with humans,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny because they go to all this effort to like to not kill humans.
Mm-hmm.
They don't integrate themselves into society at all, even though everyone but Jasper has like proven that they can. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they've shown restraint,
Yeah.
and the kids are around humans every day at school.
And
Pretty
so was
much.
Carlisle.
And Carlisle is around blood every day. So I don't know why they don't even make an attempt to.
like form human relationships. And
Yeah,
stuff.
and then you can like pretend to die or like pretend to lose somebody's phone number. You don't have to. You can have these meaningful relationships like for a short period of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just that would be my approach if I were a vampire. I think maybe you get sick of that after hundreds of years, but also the age gap between Esme and Carlisle is out of pocket. But I think we can discuss that more in the next chapter. I don't think.
Wait,
that-
how old is Esme when she's turned?
if she's from the like silent movies era, that's like the 1910s, 1920s, right?
Yeah, it's like but it's
Oh,
like
yeah, 'cause she was
Edward's
after
technically older than Esme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Her name's Esme.
Esme. Renesmee.
Yeah,
You
it's
call them Renesmee and Esme.
yeah,
But,
but just that because Carlisle was born in like the 1630s, I think, or
Yeah.
1640s, something like that.
Also, he was bitten at 23. This dude looks 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That is
And
no one else concerned.
everyone's just buying that he's this high-level doctor with 6 or 5
Yeah.
foster kids.
Everyone's just like, yeah, he's a 23-year-old man, doctor.
And
has,
Charlie
like,
just eats that up. He's like, "Yeah, those are great people. Nothing's going on there that's weird."
hopefully
so
everyone's just
weird.
like, they're like, oh, he looks so good for his age.
Imagine
Yeah.
all the 23-year-olds you know.
I don't know. Any
They look as
23-year-olds.
12 as I do.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know any 23-year-olds.
Okay, imagine me 2 years younger.
Yeah, no.
I'm not a man, but... Imagine me with 5 foster kids right now, Tyree. That would still be ridiculous, right?
I would
Say
think
psych
that are
right now.
17.
I would think that you were one of those foster parents that are like really abusive in the homes.
Why?
Oof.
Just because like when people who are younger have like a whole bunch of foster kids, they're usually in it for the check.
Well, yeah.
That's what I would imagine if he had all those foster kids. My bad.
I'm just collecting high schoolers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, give me your money for a short while, then get out.
They have like a lie for that, right? Like they'd say that Jasper and Rosalie were like children of a relative, I think, who passed away, and so that's how Carlisle got custody of them, and then the other ones are just fosters, I think.
How they, like, came to get them, I don't think is the weird part. It's just how young Carlisle... I mean, I think in the movies they changed that. Obviously, he looks like 30 and just forever 30, but I think that's way better than 23.
Right.
That's wild, man.
It would kind of be cool if instead of you stop aging when you become a vampire, it slows way down. So he did look a little bit older at this point, just from like that
Just
the
like 23
wear
and
and
a half
tear
now.
of,
Yeah.
you know, hundreds of years on the earth. Like
Yeah.
maybe would give you a couple wrinkles.
Yeah.
But like, would it be where they would keep aging like forever until like it would be like 1,000 years pass and they're still? And my brother and I discovered the new Avatar. No, but and then like they would start looking like old and really nasty, or would it be like they would stop at an age?
I don't know. That's just a thought. I haven't thought about it that hard, but
Like,
it's just an odd situation. Also, a note that I made in this chapter is that there are too many damn characters in this family. You know?
Yeah.
Like, they can be condensed a little bit more. Not everyone needs to have a couple, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the couples function as one person. Like Jasper and Alice, for example. Pretty much function as one person. And Emmett and Rosalie, we haven't even really met yet. And Esme seems kind of unimportant to me, personally.
Yeah.
It could be like a dad and 3 kids, honestly, if we're being honest. That's at least my opinion.
Maybe she just did that so that it would seem more... It would be weirder that Edward was alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Stalking her and alone.
Like, if it was just, like, Carlisle and, like, 3 of them, and then he brought in Bella, I could see all of them being like, fuck that girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Girl,
For sure.
But all of them are now like, well, we found everybody. You deserve to also.
Yeah, I get that.
And then she
don't
just
know.
didn't want to give other purpose to their characters.
Yeah, if you're gonna include all these characters, I wish they were, like, richer and very fleshed out and, like, had, like, more complicated, nuanced conflicts with or about Bella.
Yeah.
You know? So that you would just give me a reason that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And that would make this story much more interesting to me, rather than just being like, Edward's breath smells so good again today, you know? We should be talking about something else.
It's a cloudy day and Edward's breath still smells good.
You could replace all those paragraphs with just a little insight into his fucking siblings.
Right.
That would be
If
so
they're
much
gonna
better.
exist, you may as well make them interesting.
Right, and I don't like how, like, I think we've talked about this before, how, like, Alice has, like, this whole backstory that, like, we could, like, really go into, and it could be, like, a spinoff, and we just, like, we're like, nope. Like, at least, like, make her just, like, not likable, or, like, not have me want to know more about her, and then not get any of it because Stephanie was just like, huh, F you guys.
Yeah, I
just
wonder
wish
if there's fan fiction that exists about the time between when Alice and Jasper found each other and the time that they went to the Cullens, because that could be a whole thing.
Well, guess what I'm about to do?
Look for the fan fiction. Yeah, we were kind of looking, and we really don't have that much more of this book left. So we're thinking about, after we finish Twilight, before we go directly onto New Moon, we're going to go into some fan fiction. I'm kind of excited for that. Just a heads up to anyone who's listening out there.
Get up all in that dirty fanfic.
Yeah. So if you have any that you want us to read, maybe you think about sending that over to mytwilightfantasypodcast@gmail.com.
We'd love to read your fanfic.
Yeah.
Just, like, don't make it about Jacob and Renesmee. That's my only request.
Mm-hmm. Word.
All right. Well, on 324, where she's still kind of meeting everybody, Bella is, like, formally introduced to Jasper, and she says and I think this is in reference to, like, what his gift is, but she says it's impossible to feel awkward near him.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like, he's able to control people's moods and whatever, but he makes, in the movies, everything awkward.
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time.
And that, if they had stayed true to this part of his character, that would have been a much more interesting
Yeah.
thing. And it also, like, it makes Jasper a more dimensional character, because he's obviously the one who's struggling the most to stay away from human blood.
Right.
And having that extra ability to make people really comfortable around you, it complicates that.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
I just wish that there was more of that nuance. But I guess in a movie you don't have that much time
Right.
for it. But I don't see the excuse in the books.
Yeah, they should have made
No.
Jasper a snake.
Yeah, he could have been. And, like, that, it could have caused problems with Alice, because she's such a genuinely kind person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just... when I read that line, all I could picture was Jasper's, like, stone cold face, like...
In pain.
Yeah, because he's just so uncomfortable.
I also found a couple of fanfics, but
Lit.
I'll
Just
go ahead and add those to my
Bookmark
library.
those.
Yeah, is there a way to send those to us?
Yeah, I can.
Do I have to download Wattpad?
probably.
I can. Okay.
Then you start
So
reading
what
the
else
last
do you
one.
guys have for this chapter?
All I did was really hard at Edward's only lie, and I said I stand when she like shivered when he said that he was like there were gonna be like visitors in town.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be watching you just to be like for extra protection. And then she shivered and he said, finally a rational response. And I was just like, T.
And is that actually like an insight as to why he's so overbearing and pushy sometimes?
That's what I wrote.
Yeah, that like that's just his natural instinct, like protective instinct towards her, but it just comes off really weird to us.
Yeah, I still don't get why he couldn't explain that to Bella and just be like, hey, listen, sometimes I know things that you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's, if I'm ever acting weird, like, I'm sorry, but it's because this, you know? And he just never does that. He's just like, we're doing this because it's what I said. And I don't like that about him. I just don't.
Yeah.
And another super weird thing that Edward does is when he's playing that lullaby for Bella.
Oh my god.
She somehow didn't know that he played piano, and so Esme suggests that he play something for her. And that interaction is super weird. Very alien.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, very.
Anyway, eventually Edward does, and he starts playing the lullaby that he wrote inspired by Bella.
Tyree.
It's your time to sing the lullaby.
The lullaby.
Oh. As if you could outrun me.
Exactly.
Yep.
That one. And she, like, a tear escapes from her eye, and he fucking eats it. He licks it.
He sees her crying. He's like, I'll take that for you.
Right. And then, oh my god, why?
Okay, first of all, I think I'm more upset that she cried.
Yeah.
Because just another thing to add to my long list of why I hate Bella.
Right.
People who cry at just like that. Like, I've cried in like emotional, I don't know, but it's Bella. Fuck off.
Right.
You know?
It's not, and another note I made was that her jaw literally drops.
Yeah.
She opens her mouth.
Per usual.
Right, which is
Her mouth
gross.
is always open, first of all.
Yeah, true,
Is
big
it?
fact, but...
Also, we're just assuming, I mean, this was based off Kristen Stewart's portrayal, but we all just assume in the book, too, that Bella's a mouth breather, so... What's that?
I've been doing some little goat laugh recently. Please don't take note to it.
But yeah, and then he tastes her tear, but they don't address it.
She was like, I was like watching him, and then he was just like, yep, I'm just gonna lick this up. And she was
He
just
looks
like,
it up and then, like, giggles. Or smiles or something. And then
He's
they
like-
just move on.
he licks it and he's like,
Let me see.
ha ha. Bella's tear, I love you.
Yikes.
We're terrible.
But yeah, doesn't he, like, smile or something afterwards?
Mm-hmm.
Page
Yeah.
329.
Yeah, I think he just says like either said he smiles or he like a big smile or he like chuckles.
Yeah.
She says, I'm feeling extremely insignificant. You inspired this one, this music wrote. Okay.
And she's like,
This is... I looked at him questioningly, and he gazed back for a long moment before he finally smiled. And then they just go on with the rest of their day.
Yeah, so he licks her tear, looks off to the distance, and then smiles.
That's like some freak shit right there.
He's like, it's like my mother's tears.
That's like... What? What did you just say?
I just... I'm actually joking now.
She said it tastes like my mother's tears.
Yeah.
Which is some even more freak shit.
Yeah, like they're dying of like the Spanish influenza, and he's just like, "Yep."
Well, I think they're already dead by the
They
time
were,
he
yeah,
gets
they were
turned.
dead when he was turned.
And that's the only reason. But can we talk about that again for a second?
What?
Carlisle, maybe this is more of a conversation for the next chapter, but still, like, he really turned Edward based on nothing.
Yeah, he was lonely and he was dying.
It was just a random
Yeah.
dude. And he saw lots of dying people all the time and just was like,
I
this
don't-
one will do.
I want a 17-year-old.
I want a 17-year-old. Yeah, exactly. I want a 17-year-old boy. I'm looking for a mate to cure my loneliness.
Oh, there's a teenager.
Oh, so
Let me go bite his neck.
a mate to cure his loneliness.
But
So is
let's think
Carlisle
about
bi?
this. This is coming from a frat boy aged guy.
He's
Yeah.
like, Edward comes back to life. Where's the White Claw?
I don't think that's what frat boys drink. But if you're a frat boy and you like White Claws,
Email us at my twilightfantasypodcast@gmail.com.
yes.
Where's my vape, bruh?
Yeah, that was...
Okay, also, another super fascinating part of this chapter. This is when I texted you guys when I was reading it. We get the beginning of Carlisle's backstory just for a
Right.
couple pages, and we'll get more into it in the next chapter. But what we do get in this chapter is that early 1630s, that's when Carlisle is from.
Yeah.
And they have this cross hanging up in their house, and that's
Right.
when it's from the early 1630s. I think Carlisle was actually born about 10 years later. But his dad was a preacher,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he was like a hunter, an Anglican pastor, and he led hunts for witches, werewolves, and vampires. And so the note I made about that is that, okay, are there witches then? Do witches exist in this universe? We never meet them, but that could be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which would have been lit, but you know, we can't have nice things. Or maybe, you know, Breaking Dawn Part 2. Because I think it's just a power, but like, you know, the lady who was able to make people see stuff.
Yeah, that was just a gift.
Yeah, I was like, she looked pretty witchy to me though.
The gifts seem like vampires and witches rolled into one, but
That'd be pretty lit.
I think that just stems directly from the time and the
Yeah.
religious tone there, because like I was saying a couple episodes ago in my vampire lore class, like they were trying to hunt down all the evils of the earth, and sometimes they couldn't explain what they were, so they just label them as witches, werewolves, vampires, blah blah blah.
yeah. That I see that.
But
I understand that.
I
but
understand. I would have liked some more.
yeah, not that it's totally necessary, but
Yeah.
if we're gonna have vampires and we're gonna have werewolves, maybe we can just have all these magical creatures.
Yeah.
But maybe that's a different series. But
Right.
anyway,
Oh. Or can I say a thing?
Yeah.
Remember when we were talking in the car and we were trying to figure out how the venom worked? Only because when Carlisle got changed, his was like the guy the vampire guy was like super hungry and like really out of it.
yeah.
And so he bit him, nearly left him dead and like yeeted away. And then he turned into a vampire. So is the venom automatically injected every time they bite down? Because if so, like, how did that work when Edward tried to save Bella?
Well, I don't know in the books, but in the movies, they're like, she's already been bitten, and the venom is already, I think, by James,
Yeah.
and the venom is already going through her body, and so they have to like suck it back out, and so that seems really inexact to me too. Like maybe you have control over when you're putting the venom in, or I don't know. That really doesn't seem clear to me either.
Because what we were saying that too, but what we were saying was when he bit Bella, it was to, I don't think it was to just bite. It was, I'm talking about James. It was to start sucking blood out.
Right.
But there was still venom.
So you would think that
Yeah.
any more contact would only be more venom, not less venom. You can't
Yeah.
suck it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That is a good question.
Yeah. This is just,
If you
we
guys
had an
have
hour
any
and 20
insight-
minute car ride, so we just,
right?
Yeah.
we started going
Because
in
I
on
was
it.
still effing reading.
We should. That could be like our debate question for the week or
Yeah.
something. Because I'm very curious what other people how you can explain that. But I was just interested in this whole section because I think because I generally remember this whole story from like my childhood. It's these like nitty gritty details that I've forgotten, like Carlisle's backstory, for example. So every time I get like a little taste of that, I get really excited, and I was thinking like, would it be okay if we read this whole like these 3 pages, the whole thing, just to, I don't know why, but I just wanted to like reprocess it, I think. But basically, Carlisle's dad is an Anglican pastor, and he is like searching for these creatures, but Carlisle he's described as a little bit more forgiving, a little bit smarter than his father, and like is actually looking for the evidence of these creatures, and he actually does find a group of starving vampires like hiding in like the sewers of their city, and they only come out at night to feed. And he ends up getting bitten by one of those people, but Carlisle's also, he's already a very compassionate person in his life. And once, I don't know if we get into this yet, but once he's bitten, he shows extreme restraint. And it seems like maybe that was a characteristic that like he had already, and it was amplified by his, like that's his superpower, or maybe it's just who he is, and he's willing to work that hard. I don't know. I wish that Carlisle had a superpower type thing, and I just want this to be it for him.
Right.
And so I'm like looking for evidence of that, but I don't know. I just really liked, I know I've said this about another chapter before, but if you love Twilight and you already have a copy, or you're at the library or something, I would recommend reading pages 30 through 32 because
330.
Yeah, 330 to 332. Sorry,
just get some random ass monologue of Bella's.
Right, probably. Yeah, just skip to the middle section of this book because it there's way more nostalgia and interest that lives here than at the beginning.
Yeah,
the beginning is low key boring.
Yeah,
compared to this, at least.
Going along that, because what sparks that conversation about Carlisle is they come across that large wooden cross that's in the house, which they both kind of acknowledge as being sort of ironic, because vampires are supposed to be these demons, and the cross symbolizes, God or whatever. And I think we've talked about this before, how there's a bunch of allusions to religion throughout the book, and this is a more obvious one, but I feel like because Edward said it's ironic for them having him, but it's nostalgia, or it has significant meaning to Carlisle because it's his father's. But I feel like I could almost see it having a more significant meaning to him, and how he maybe uses that as a symbol of, because he always talks about how he's always known who he wants to be. He doesn't want to succumb to what he's supposed to be. He wants to always seek out the good in people and present the good in himself. And maybe that's I don't know. For some reason, I read that as a symbol of that for him.
I totally see that.
And
it seems I think I actually wrote this in the next chapter, but one of the notes that I had was Carlisle is the embodiment of good.
Yeah.
Goodness. The ultimate goodness in this series.
Yeah. 100%. So, yeah, I have a lot more to say about Carlisle in the next chapter, so I don't have too much else. Do you guys have anything else for this chapter?
That was all my main stuff.
I know.
But I think we did a good coverage of this one.
I think so. We're just under an hour, so
wow.
We're good.
So, let's reiterate. If you have any insight or want to share your thoughts about what you think in regard to how vampire venom works, just the lore in general, what is your take on that? And how do you make sense of Edward biting Bella again to get out venom that is there because a different vampire bit her? If you have any ideas about that, DM us on Instagram, or we can make a post today about that.
Yeah.
We can post that drawing we found and make that the caption. And then...
yeah, let us know if you know, because we are confusion.
Yeah, we're curious.
Well, yeah, like Maya said, reach out to us. Email us at mytwilightfantasypodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram at mytwilightfantasy. Find us on Twitter at Twilight Podcast. We're also on Tumblr. But we're most active on our Instagram. So if you go on there and go to the link in our bio, it goes to our website, which has more information about us, about the podcast. It has the link to all of our merch, which we'll post a picture in our story about that. But it also has all the links to where you can listen to us. And you can basically find us anywhere you listen to your podcasts, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, you name it. And lastly, I know we've asked every episode the past couple weeks, but it really, really helps us out. If you guys who listen on Apple Podcasts, if you could leave us a review and a rating, that would be super helpful. We'd appreciate it. And we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. So,
Stephanie Meyer.
Have we checked? I'm going to see really quick.
Yeah, I probably should have checked. got another one, but
Another one bites the dust.
we did give a shout out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, for Stephanie M.
Yeah, Stephanie Meyer likes our podcast, guys. No big deal.
Not to flex on y'all.
I don't think so right now.
No.
So, but yeah, go to those, reach out to us, rate us, review us, everything. But thank you so much for listening. We have a lot of fun doing this, and we're glad that other people are enjoying it too.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like we have 8 ratings, but only 2 people have ever said anything.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
write a review.
Well, you're doing something light.
With that, you guys ready to wrap it up?
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Peace.
Love.
and Twilight.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.